I want to start with something that I believe truly down to my bones because I say it everywhere that I speak. If you can't track it, you're guessing. And
Mhm.
guessing is a terrible way to run a marketing budget. And I will defend that all day long. Measure everything. Know your numbers, know your cost per job and your ROI. So, what I'm about to say might sound like I'm contradicting myself. I promise I'm not. Stick with me. There's a moment that happens in this industry that drives owners and marketers crazy. Literally. You ask a brand new customer, "How did you hear about us?" And the answer they give you does not match a single item in your reporting, or it matches more than one. And that gap right there is the most misunderstood thing in marketing. How you handle it will either make your marketing stronger or quietly, completely wreck it. So here's the distinction that nobody makes, and it changes everything. Tracking is knowing your numbers, what you spent, what came in, what it cost you, and what it returned. You should do that relentlessly. No argue it with me there ever. Attribution, however, is something very different. Attribution is the claim that a lead has one true source, that you can point to a single channel and say, that is where that lead came from. But here's the trap with this thinking. Most reporting hands you a last touch and calls it a source. The call came from a Google number, so the system writes down Google. Clean, simple, feels like data. But what it's not actually telling you is where that lead came from. It's telling you where that lead landed last. Those are not the same thing. And if you treat the last click like it's the cause, you're about to make some very expensive decisions. And I get why people fall for it. The last touch number is right there on the dashboard. It feels tidy, it feels objective, it feels obvious. And honestly, it scratches the itch, so to say, that I told you you need to have. You want to track, you want to measure. So when the platform hands you a clean source for every lead, it feels like you're doing the most responsible thing. But here's the difference between measuring and crediting. Measuring is the whole picture. Crediting is the pin of the win on whoever happened to be standing closest when the phone rang. One makes you smarter. The other one just makes you feel like it makes you smarter. So let me tell you about a client. Been with us a long time, and he used to bring up this exact thing because it drove him a little crazy in the best way possible, of course. So he runs a home service company, and he's got trucks out in the neighborhood doing jobs. He's also got yard signs. His crews are working in someone's house while the whole neighborhood notices. So picture then, though, how this actually plays out. A truck is parked on a street for a few days doing a job. The neighbors see it. The job wraps up, the truck leaves, the yard sign stays. The neighbors keep seeing the name, probably without even noticing they're processing that name. Weeks and weeks go by. And then one of those neighbors has their own need or disaster or whatever. In the moment, what do? They grab their phone and call the company that they've been subconsciously seeing on the street and in their neighborhood for weeks. They Google the name and they call. In the reporting, that's a Google lead because that was the last touch. Full stop. That's what the system says. But when asked, how did you hear about us? The customer says, oh, I saw your truck and your yard sign in my neighborhood, and then I looked you up and called you. So you tell me, where did that lead come from? Was it the trucks? Was it a referral? Was it a yard sign? Or was it Google? Here's why that story matters so much. You could give credit to Google because that was the last touch of that call. But watch what happens if you pull out any single thread out of that chain. If the truck was never on the street, the neighbor never knows that that company exists. No awareness, the chain never starts. If the yard sign hadn't stayed when the job was done, the name would fade. They don't need to keep remembering it. By the time that neighbor's need came up weeks later, there was nothing to remember. And if that company wasn't showing up on Google when the neighbor finally searched for their need, that call would go to a competitor. The whole thing was building to that moment, and it dies after that finish line. Branding, boots on the ground, the signage, the digital presence, the reputation they already subconsciously have trusted, all of it worked together. And without a single one of those pieces, that system would have failed. And that is the whole point. Marketing channels don't compete with each other. They support each other. Customers don't experience marketing in a vacuum or in one channel at a time. They experience your business as a whole. If you cut the channels that don't show up as a source in your marketing, you will starve the channels that do. That owner, if he looked up or looked at his last touch report and said, well, the trucks and signs aren't generating any trackable leads, kill them, then his Google calls probably would dry up right alongside of them eventually, because the trucks and the signs were the brand awareness that made people search in the first place. The stuff that rarely gets the credit is often the stuff holding up everything that does. So no, I am not telling you to stop tracking. I'm actually telling you the opposite. Track harder. Just track the right thing. Don't measure one lead by its last touch or its last click. Measure the whole system by its return. Look at your blended cost per job across everything that you're running, and that number is going to tell you the truth. The single source label on a phone call is not the end all be all truth. Track everything. Just don't just trust what the last click is telling you of what the causation was. Next time a lead comes in and your system stamps it with just one source, I want you to ask a question. Not where did this land, but what made it land at that in the first place? Let me say that again. Not where did this lead come from or where did it land, but what made them get to that end touch point? Did your system do its job? Before you cut a channel because it isn't showing up as a last touch source, ask yourself whether it might be feeding the channels that are showing up. because the most dangerous marketing decisions get made by people who are absolutely certain they're being data-driven. You can be measured and still be wrong if you're measuring the wrong thing. That moment that frustrates everybody, the customer whose answer doesn't match your reporting, that's not a glitch. It's not bad data. That's proof your marketing is actually working the way it's supposed to as a system. The messy attribution isn't the problem, it's the evidence. So measure everything, because if you're not measuring, you are guessing. Just don't let a tiny little report convince you that one channel did a job and took all of them. That one channel took control of all of the leads. That's my soapbox for today. See you in the next Cut the Noise.